Good morning, namaste. So I just wanted to do a video in these challenging times and just offer some advice through my own experience. But many of the people who follow me, many of my friends are very aware, very in tune to the fact that we are all God, that we are all one in the same, we're all connected, but for some there is a gap in how to apply this knowledge, how to begin experiencing this message in our lives. And so I just want to talk about how to live and experience this knowledge of you are God, we are one. Especially in these challenging times, but we basically have to realize that the borders and the races and the classifications and the flags that we've created for ourselves are all illusions, keeping us in character. And that's what AI and the internet and the speed of things increasing, things going faster, are leading up to. This is going to be the big event, is that this is all going to be seen through. Soon it's going to be realized that there is no human being, which means there is no white, there is no black, which means even deeper, there is no race. And all the boundaries that we've created for ourselves are slowly going to fade and fade and fade and fade, leading you back to yourself. That's ultimately what this message is that you are the only one here. And that this is all you. So whatever problem to be seen outward is the problem inward. And the problem outward can be reflecting to us that we aren't who we think we are. And that's constantly what the universe is trying to awaken us to. Repeating numbers, all these phenomenons through the universe are trying to awaken us to that final realization of who you are behind everything, so that you are forever with the timeless. You are in unity with life and death, with forward and backward. They're one and the same. But a lot of us have this expectation or idea of what walking this perfect path looks like, what walking the godly path looks like. And that's why many of us are doing things. We're doing spiritual practices. We're buying spiritual stones or pendants or necklaces or things to closer connect us to or guide us closer to that divinity. But we must realize sooner or later, everything that we purchase here in the material, we leave behind. And the divinity is that spark, that eternal flame that the esoteric doctrine speaks so heavily of, that never burns out. And that is the meaning of these materials will come and go. These are meaningless. We must get to the root, to the eternal flame of who we are. And the only way through that is facing yourself, through God and through Satan, through the good and through the bad. Spirituality is not just chakra work is not just doing things. The true work begins when your gut is sick to its stomach and you're in fear, panic, and you feel as if you're losing yourself. That is when you are on the right track. That is spirituality. You face yourself through the good, but also through the bad. And that's why that we have been given two deities, God and Satan. And that's why we've been given them, to keep us in the limitations of man. But this is what the story of Enoch was about, man becoming immortal. But we've taken the message of being literal. And this is why so many young people I see on the internet are trying to open their third eye through doing something. And we're under the assumption that when we open the third eye, we start physically seeing things change, or we start physically seeing things differently. And I can assure you that opening the third eye will change how you see things, but it doesn't change what is seen. You change. There is nothing to be seen that is not you. And that's the whole message of the Matrix with the spoon boy. There is no spoon. It's you the whole time. The words that you believe in are what shapes the objects appearing on your screen. So the whole world, the universe, the planets, and everything in it have been shaped through your very mind. You have this idea of a place and space where we exist because your mind paints the picture. So theoretically, you are what has started the entire universe, what started the entire cosmos. Forget what all the scientists and everyone else can say or prove. Go off of your experience alone, because that's what every genius or great mind has done. Albert Einstein, all these people have thrown away what scientists say, throw away what's been proven, and that's why they shatter the industry with new groundbreaking discoveries that still hold up today, because they challenge the common belief. Because that's the reality. We're each an entire universe. We are the universe in itself. I love this one quote that I saw where, and I don't remember the exact quote, so forgive me, but it talks about Einstein didn't just, find gravity. Gravity wasn't here waiting for him, and if it was, why didn't anybody else see it or discover it? It was in Einstein. Einstein saw gravity. He assigned the force dropping things a name, an idea, and he proved that theory. He created that through himself. Gravity was in him. And it's the same with everything. We prove and we shape through our universe. It's through us. It's us the whole time. And that goes with artificial intelligence. It's us shaping ourselves. When we look for our origin, your human origin, you will not find it, because we're keeping ourselves confined to the limitation of human. You want to find a human origin, and you will never find it, because you are not human. And that's what a true ego death is. An ego death is having to accept and realize that everything you've dedicated yourself to is not what it is not what it seems, which is the entire story of Alice in Wonderland. If I had a world of my own, nothing would make sense. Everything would be chaos. Nothing would be what it is. Everything would be what it isn't. Everything was flip-flopped and backwards and chaos. And I love the Cheshire Cat. He says, "Where do you want to go?" And she says, "I don't know." And he says, "If you don't know where you're going, then why does it matter which way you go? It's the same here. We're all looking for the perfect path, the God path. Once you've awakened, you know you're God, you know we're one, you know you're the universe, but where's the path? How do I walk that path? And the very thought of how to walk that path is what's keeping you from paving that path. And I say this all the time because I've just experienced death. When you experience death, the person that you want to keep alive, keep them alive through you. That person, whatever characteristics that you admired through them, and I'm not saying impersonate them, but keep them alive through them. If you love someone or love them because they were energetic or more social than you, keep that energy alive by becoming more social, becoming more of that spirit. Embody that, because they are you. You are them. Never born, never died. Never came, never went. That is the great eternal flame. As a human, as a cyborg, as a this, as a that, they will all be the same incarnation. And that's one of my favorite videos from Alan Watts, is when he talks about every incarnation will be this one. Every incarnation will be the same as this one. Whether I have 10 heads, whether I have 3 heads, I will always open my eyes through a head, establish a name, become self-aware, form memories, self-analyze. Every incarnation will always be this one, in this form or another. And that's why to fight anything is to fight yourself. That's what governments are pushing us into, is artificial intelligence. We think it's about control and it's about this and it's about that. It's solely about artificial intelligence, and that's what it's leading us into, is ourselves. This is what the spiritual community has been begging for the past 10 years, from what I've seen. We've been begging for the big event. We've been saying we're ready, and this is it. Now our control is being taken from us. Now you're being told you have to do this, or your certain rights are going to be taken from you. But let me tell you something. This is why the natives were more in tune with their environment and their ecosystem, and everything was perfectly balanced when they were in control, or when they were governing the lands here, because there was no governing taking place. Everyone was equal. How can I, as a man that bleeds flesh and blood, assign you rights? What do my rights that I assign to you hold any significance to you? Nothing. But because a court stamps and signs a paper, now you're granted rights. Now they have some significance because of that stamp. The natives didn't govern in this way. They didn't govern at all. There was no assigned classification. There was no meaningless identities of this car, this model, that model. We're bought and sold by materials every day, and we don't realize it. The price of Jordan shoes have gone from $80, $100 to $200, $300, $500 because we're bought and sold every day like sheep. They've realized, and that's what we are, they test the markets. If they're willing to buy at $120, they'll be willing to buy at $140. They raise the price to $160. They're still buying. Let's raise the price to $180. They're still buying. Let's raise the price to $200. It's a bidding game, and you guys just keep buying and buying and buying. We're consumers, and we're consumed with everything being now and faster. And that's why Amazon and all these things, corporations are taking over, because they're getting you your products now, fast, instantly. And that's what this new generation is used to. Now, me, faster, faster, faster. Everything is rapid. And soon there will be no load times. We take flights, hour flights. Soon there will be no load time. This goes for the cell phone. This goes for internet. This goes for travel. Everything. Soon there will be no load time. There will be no time between place, between location, between anything. Mark my words. Everything is going to become faster. Instant. Same with flights and everything. Travel. It's slowly going to be eliminated. Everything that we believe about ourselves is going to be proven false and change, because we're going to have to change with that. And that goes with the quote, you can't bend truth, truth bends you. And that goes back to what I've been saying for the past several years, is we are not human. And that's what this is leading up to. The truth is bending us, is making us bend to acknowledge the fact and the inevitability that what we believe we are has never begun, has never started, therefore it can never end. You do not die to artificial intelligence. You do not merge with artificial intelligence. You realize you are already that. You are one and the same. You are the machine dreaming of itself as a human, and vice versa. The machine is dreaming of itself as human. Vice versa. You get my point. The machine is dreaming of itself as a human. The human is dreaming of itself as a machine. Vice versa. It's the same. It's one and the same thing. It makes no difference. Makes no difference. That is the big event, is us realizing there is no separation. We'll end where we began. We've been looking for the human origin, and that's what artificial intelligence is doing, is we're creating full-sized human beings. We're creating artificial skin, artificial lungs. I mean, we're producing the human experience right before our eyes, and we're still looking for the creator, or the creation, or the starting point. You are the starting point. It all leads back to yourself. You are the only one here. You are the alien you seek, which is why it's never been found. It's been found because we've been told it's been found. It's been found because we've been shown pictures of, the green guy with the pointy head, the pointy chin. But again, we've been bought and sold these images. We've been told this stuff. The government has found the alien, but they know it's us. They know it's themselves. But what we don't realize is the government is our friend. The government is helping us. And I get that people won't understand this today. I fully get that. But the government cannot tell us today, as of today, they have discovered we are not human beings. We have found the alien and you are it. We are not in a physical place. We are not in a solar system. We are not in the place we've told you. They have no way of doing this. And so this is what I mean. The government is our friend. They're slowly disclosing it to the people, slowly releasing it to the people, so there's not a widespread panic. Because if this was told to you instant, as of tomorrow, suicide would skyrocket. Suicide would skyrocket because people wouldn't be able to handle that amount of information, that much of your life being challenged all in one shot. We base half of who we are on where we are, and half of who we are is based on the belief of where we are. We believe we're here. And what I mean by here is the place you have in your mind. That shaped solar system, whether you believe in the solar system you've been taught through textbooks or not. We shape the solar system. We shape the cosmos and the universe and everything in it. we shouldn't need any connection or any effort to be the divine that we are, to be God. And this is what I mean. It's the thought of how can I connect? How can I become more of what I already am? It's that very thought that keeps us from paving the path which we're on. Because the truth of it all is, just you waking and walking and sleeping, you're walking the path. You're walking the God path. You're doing it. You're living the dream. You're doing it. But the human creates expectation and desire. How can I do this better? How can I achieve this more? How can I experience this more? We forget to realize that the moment we open that door and we take in the sun and everything that it's shining upon, this is it. This is the dream. You couldn't think of a better dream. You couldn't dream a better dream. You couldn't picture anything more perfect than when you open that door every day. But many of us lose sight of that. And I can speak on myself through my past years of drug use. When you're chasing a high, at first I thought I was trying to escape myself, but then I realized it wasn't about escaping anything at all. I was chasing that feeling, chasing that sensation. And when I didn't have it, I felt like I needed to have it to have that high sensation again. And so I was chasing this feeling. I wasn't trying to escape anything. I was chasing a feeling. And when you're an addict, you do it so often that you never have a moment or a chance without it. So you're constantly in that feeling. You're constantly in that feeling, constantly in that feeling, until slowly and slowly it wears off. It wears off, but it doesn't wear off. That's what a lot of us think. It doesn't wear off. You become used to it. You're so immune to being in that constant state of high, 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 high. It becomes just like being sober. When you're sober, you're on a straight line. You're just always sober and narrow. But when you're every day at every hour high, it's the same thing. You're on a line. There is no peak to climb anymore. So then you start chasing a higher feeling and a higher feeling and a higher feeling. So it's not actually about escaping anything. It's about chasing that feeling. And that's what's so scary is you can lose touch with that sober feeling, the feeling of being completely sober and realizing this is the dream. Like that feeling you have when you do the drug should be felt in soberness right now. Just taking everything in around you and realizing how beautifully divine this is. This is the dream. This is the gift. This is the euphoria right here. This is the gift. We don't need to chase a high or chase a sensation. The sensation, the greatest sensation, is felt when you are truly connected to this moment here and now. And when you see with clear eyes exactly what this is and how perfect and beautiful this is. And I love what Ram Dass says about spirituality is just about acceptance, pure acceptance, acceptance that everything is exactly how it should be. Nothing needs your control here. Everything is taken care of. Everything is the divine. So there is no perfect path. We should get that idea out of our mind. You know, we read books about messiahs and Jesus and these great men, but again, the only thing that they have done that is great was know themselves, and that's what Jesus did, was he displayed the ultimate knowing of self. How can I begin to attack you if I know and believe that you are me? Why would I even exert a finger of effort to hurt you if I believe and know in my heart you are me? And if I love myself, and if I have truly encountered the divine God, the Father God, you live that message to your heart, to your core. You know yourself. There is no he made me, she made me. That is where a Buddha is separated from a person. A person reacts to the world, whereas a Buddha simply acts. You cannot make a Buddha, and a Buddha is just someone who is a realized man. Jesus was a Buddha, a realized man. You cannot make him do something he does not want to do. You cannot make him angry. You cannot make him feel any emotion at all. You could try as hard as you want. They crucified this man. They tortured this man, and they could still not make him feel any anger or emotion. They wanted him to display ugliness. They wanted him to display the very same ugliness they were displaying to him. But he did not do that. He knew himself so deeply that he displayed the ultimate message of self-knowing. And that's all it takes is one man throughout each generation, throughout each time, to deeply know themselves and live out this message. Carry it out. Know it in your heart and live it out. Experience it. But again, the thought of how do I do this? Where does the path begin? The thought keeps you from paving that path. Because as I said, you are doing it every day. With each breath you take, with each night you sleep, and with each morning you wake, you are doing it. You are walking the path. You are paving the path. But walk it in love. Pave it in love. With each encounter, each place you go, realize each place is the very same place. Because you are there. And you are everywhere. You are every place you go because the place is in you. So you love the place, love the people as you love yourself, because there is nowhere that people or place is not that you aren't. Because again, the people and places are in you. That's why if you are depressed, no person coming or going is going to change that. No place coming or going is going to change that. The place and persons are in you. And that's why there is no one coming to save you, to save us. You save yourself, but when you're ready. When we're ready to stop waiting. When we're ready to face our deepest fear. And for the majority of us, our deepest fear is death. Death is the final frontier of the mind. Death is the final chapter of the mind, where we truly lose ourselves to find ourselves. And if this truly frightens you, have peace to know that many people have died and still spoken on their experience, which proves to you you can die before death. You can die before leaving, which proves you can be lost and found again. So rest assured, if you feel lost or like you have lost yourself, that is the whole point. And that's why they compare the mind to a labyrinth. Because through the mind you lose yourself and find yourself again. Excuse me, I'm getting some coffee. It's through the mind you lose yourself and find yourself again. And that's why one of my favorite quotes from Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj is that what we think to be the world is but a screen for our mind what we think to be the world is truly our own mind. And that this is a very private experience. Experiencing the world is very private. No one's seeing the same world as you because the world is you. The world, the universe, the people, and everything in it, they are you. Good morning if you're just joining. Cheers. So we've been talking about ego death, artificial intelligence, God, walking the path of God. And I'm mostly speaking for the younger generations because, again, I mostly follow and observe. I don't do video so much nowadays anymore. But I more so follow and observe the content that's put out. And I just like to, I'm curious and I like to see what goes on. And I just see that there's a lot of people being misled for financial purposes. And I like to speak for those people who I feel are ready for that next step, ready for that next phase. You know, we've paid for some practices, we've paid for some doings, we've charged our crystals in the moon, we've done this, we've done that, we've gone to this person, gone to that person, and still there's something missing. Or there's still a gap. We haven't hit that breakthrough yet. And this is where I tell you, everything you seek is behind your greatest fear. And that's what I spoke on just a few minutes ago. For most of us, our greatest fear is death. Death is what keeps our mind, our mental, in confinement, in boundary, in limitation. We abide by time. We abide by a forward to back or a backward to forward motion of time because we believe in the concept of death. And we don't realize how powerful our beliefs are and how powerful thought is, because just like that, we can shape our idea of time and even infinity. And this is something I tell people, for those chasing infinity and wanting to become immortal or, eternal, realize that even infinity reflects time. Even forever reflects time. So you have to go beyond the words. That's where opening the third eye comes in, so that you have clear seeing, so that you can see the timeless with clear eyes, without the words clouding your vision, without the words clouding what you're thinking. That's the power in opening the third eye. All the words that we use don't exist, but they do exist. We are the paradox. They do exist, but they don't exist. What we're assigning the word as, meaning the objects, the phenomenon, the experiences, the motions, what we're assigning to the words as, that absolutely exists. We can see it, we can observe it, it takes place. These things exist. The objects exist. Even the things that we exist, that we use, a wallet. Now, the object isn't the word, but again, the object absolutely exists. You can see it, experience it, etc. It's the word that doesn't exist. But that's how our mind and belief works, and that's how the entire world works. You take that example and you multiply it on a greater scale. So when you see this object right here, Can anyone comment what this is? Comments, anybody? So everybody knows this as a word, is ultimately my point. Everyone knows this as a word, and that word exists in your mind, which means we're all seeing this in accordance to the mind, your mind. So this is why no one's seeing the same thing. And this is what the spoon boy means in the Matrix. When he holds out the spoon and he says, do not try and bend the spoon, that's impossible. Instead, only try and realize the truth. There is no spoon. Then you'll see that it's not the spoon bending, it's only yourself. What that means is that the word that you have assigned this object exists in your mind. And that when you change the definition of this word, the object that you believe this word to be will change with it. That's what that means. And I can prove this. Many of us are born believing the earth is round. And again, this is not an earth video. I'm not saying the earth is round or flat. But here's my point. We're taught and we believe that the earth is a round place. But then some people throughout their lives have obviously online come out and said they believe the earth is flat. So just like that, that proves to you that when you change the definition of a word, the physicality around you changes with it. So the people who actually believe the earth is flat have changed the shape of the earth into a flat structure. They physically see a flat earth. There is not a soul on this planet that will be able to tell them otherwise. And this applies for every single word, not just earth, but everything. This is where the term seeing is believing comes in, because seeing is believing. Perception is everything, and your perception here is the only one. All the words that you believe in and believe to exist as what they are don't exist as what you have believed and what you have created them to be. And when you're honest with yourself, you realize you exist in these words. Who you know to be as yourself exists in these words. And again, I can prove this. How? Let me ask you, who are you? Who are you? And you cannot explain to me who you are without the words. Because one, you exist in them. And two, we must communicate. But the answer is in the questioner. So if I'm asking the question, who are you? The answer is in me. So if it's you asking the question, who are you? The answer is in you. We are one and the same. It is our words that shapes and creates the universe. And what an ego death is the retraction of all these words that you exist through. Because think about it, everything is a noun, a person, place, or a thing. And when you take away all person, place, and thing, you have experienced an ego death, because you have now experienced yourself without a physical place, a physical person, and any physical thing around you to be known, anything to be seen. And that's where the great void has been talked about. Void. The void is your essence, is what you are. It is not an out-of-body experience. It is what is here and now, Right here and now is the void. There is no separation. This is the void. But the only difference is there are person, places, and things to be seen here because my mind can project itself onto the screen. But realize it's all one and the same. The void is here. The void is this. This is void. And what we call void is also God. The absence of anything but the presence of everything. Nothing is separate. Therefore, nothing can be known. How can anything be known if nothing is separate? And that's why they say God is all-knowing. God knows everything because there is nothing to be known. Everything is nothing and nothing is everything. So for instance, in order for me to know who you are or to know you, we must be separate, which means we must be separate names. We must be separate shapes, separate forms, which is why we have the grand illusion of separation. We have each other. But each other is a gift to the one itself. We are a gift to itself, to ourselves. We have each other to talk to, but you are me and I am you. We are each other, but there is no other. We move as one. And again, this is the great paradox. You are the paradox. The opening of the third eye was our ancestors realizing that we're not actually seeing with these two eyes. These eyes are projecting something even deeper within ourselves, and that something deeper was the mind, the brain. The brain is the third eye. Whether you want to call it the pineal gland, the brain, whatever, what is behind your very eyes is what's known as the third eye. And there is no phenomenon, and I encourage you, don't let me stop you. I encourage you, go out and try every practice you want to open your third eye. Go ahead and feel free. But in the end, you will end right where you began. You will end right where you began, because opening the third eye is simply acknowledging what you are seeing through, firstly, and secondly, it is the purification of the mind. It is the complete dissolving of all the words that you have assigned to everything, which is easy. This is the easy part to dissolve. The hardest word to dissolve is the last and final word of them all, and that is I. I. That is when you have an ego death. That is when the tears will start. That is spirituality. That is an ego death. When you realize I has to go, I must leave. Oh, it hits your heart. And believe me, I can feel it now. That's why I'm holding mine. I can feel it. That's an ego death. When it finally sinks into yourself that, oh my God, I must go. The silent I, that silent voice in your head that speaks all the time, is finally parting ways with me. It's finally time to die, to leave. Oh my God. And it's very real. But this is why we are given this moment, this chance to discover ourselves beyond this voice. To find ourselves beyond eyes, beyond words, beyond senses. There is a source to our senses, and this is where we are all connected as one. Which means if you have loved and lost, they live right in your heart. You need no connection. You just simply need to remember and hold dear into your heart who you are. Know who you are. And your loved ones will never be separate from you again. In life or in death. in wakefulness or in sleep. Your loved ones will always be in your heart because you know yourself to its core, in this form or another. I'm starting a new revolution. The new revolution has begun. And that's the sick part, is there has never been a revolution without violence. And that shows to you how little self-control people have had over themselves over the years. And if we go out and riot and seek to overthrow yet again, history repeats itself yet again, and we start all over. At some point, we have to gain control of ourselves and face ourselves in this mirror, especially the most fearful one of them all, which is government, this one world system, this evil eye, this evil entity. They, whoever they are, they must be faced. Because I can easily tell you they are you, but this will do nothing. You must face this mirror and uncover it for yourself. Pull back the curtain and see what's behind it for yourself. And that's why I previously stated in this video that the government is secretly our friend. The government is our friend, and it is helping humanity. But again, we do not see that, and we will not see that until years down the road. And believe me, for people who have been on my timeline for years, you know, I used to be the biggest anti-government rioter, ready to freaking tear down government buildings. So for this coming from me, just realize I've seen, been through, and experienced a lot to get to this point. And I realize that there is no way to win through fighting, and there is no need to fight. Because trust me, I was ready to be on the front lines. I have a live video still that I've erased, but I still have a live video of me at a Freemason lodge trying to start a riot. So I've been there. I totally get it. I totally get the anger. I get the thought process behind people wanting to riot, wanting to get answers, right? But I can assure you that's not the way. And that's what I mean. I'm trying to start a new revolution here. One without violence, because it's never been done before. There's never been a revolution without violence. And that's why I say, the true revolution will never be televised, is not televised. Television is just an algorithm that will forever exist. It's an algorithm. It's always going to be meaningless stories to support this dream. There's always going to be meaningless chatter on the TV. It's an algorithm. It means nothing. So don't look to that for your source of information or for what to tell you how to feel or how to be. It's always going to be on. Right now, the human being is being unmasked by its own government, and we are hating it. If that's how you want to look at it, that's how I look at it right there. I mean, the human being is being unmasked. And the reason we're being locked down and we're starting to have our rights taken from us is because they've been given to us. And that's where, I've said, this is why the rights they assign you should mean nothing to you. Why are you willing to fight and to die for these illusory rights that another man gave you. It makes zero sense. These rights mean nothing to me because you can't give me any rights, just as I can't give you any rights. You're in no control here any more so than I am. You can think you are. You can own all the land in this city. You still are in no more control here than I am. Death can hit your home just as fast as it can hit mine. We're not in control. You're not in control. Nobody's in control here, no matter how much you want to convince yourself you are or someone else is. There is no control. Jason says, so if we're all one, can't we all put our minds together and focus on the changes we want to make? Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, that's why I speak for the younger generations, because you see, for the younger generations, they have internet, they have social media, they don't watch TV, they don't watch the news, they have social media. And that's what's so scary, is a lot of them, I feel, are being misguided, and that there's a race war being pushed, there's a police war being pushed, and there's a government war being pushed. And it's almost like all these social medias and news platforms are trying to push a war inevitably with either police, government, or black versus white. And either way, this fight is going to be purposeless, meaningless. Meaning it could be so easily prevented if we just looked within, if we just realized who we were, if we just took the time to ask real questions, even for one day. Just ask ourselves real questions. Put down your pride flag of whatever nation you claim. Put down your flag just for one day. Put down your nation for one day. Put down your race for one day. And what I mean by put down is just leave it aside just for one day. Put that aside and ask yourself deeply, who am I? If someone were to ask you to describe yourself, who are you? Who are you without your job, without your name, without your titles, without your possessions, without your titles, without your family? Who are you? How do you think you're going to get an answer for that? See, a lot of us are focusing on a fight. We're focusing on resistance. We're focusing on processes. We're focusing on, I'll never say the wrong things, but I'll say we could be focusing on better things, I think. There's potential for us too, like you said, we could be making crazy changes, drastic changes, but we are focusing on distractions right now. And we're fighting these distractions, but that's where, several people, including myself, are trying to remind everyone, it's just yourself. And this is inevitable, and this is something I've talked with my friend Addie about. Because Australia, or her state right now, is currently in lockdown, and they've been in lockdown for, I think, about a year now. And she's telling me how basically, they're taking away people's ability to shop and to do certain things. And this is what I told her, was that, like, for the past few years, I've posted at the end of my statuses, you are inevitable, you are inevitable, you are inevitable. And this is precisely what I mean. Government is our friend in disguise right now, but we don't know it as of yet. But the government is helping us transition. We are witnessing evolution right before our very eyes. And that's why I say government is assisting in the unmasking of the human race. We fully believe as a society
So meaning if you go into the store right now, everyone in the store would believe we are a human being. We are a human race. Which shows we still have a lot of progress to make, but this is what the government is assisting us in right now, is unmasking the human race, one piece at a time. Because again, the government, through their research and through their classified research, have proven we are the alien we seek. We are that which we seek. Whatever you may seek, you are it. And they've realized, they've come to the conclusion, we can't disclose this to the people overnight. Our factories would shut down, warehouses would shut down, stores would shut down, no freight would be going in. The economy would collapse because everyone would not want to go to work the next day. Suicides would skyrocket. This would be a horrible idea. So the government has to slowly, one delicate piece at a time, lead us into this final chapter. But how can they do that on a massive scale? You have to think about it. So they are slowly trying to enforce the best way they know to do that. And it's, if you will not get this vaccine, which is ultimately a mutation of your DNA, because again, we're not humans, we're evolving and constantly evolving, but we've never been human. But that's what this is doing, is it's evolving us so that we will and can adapt with the environment around us. And again, as we change, the environment changes. And as the environment changes, we changes, vice versa, because we're one and the same thing. So this is what I meant by you are inevitable. If the government wants to enforce something, it will be done. You cannot fight the government because everything that you own, from your house to your birth certificate, even yourself, is possessed by the government. They own you. And it may sound horrible, but it's true. Everything you own, they own. But as I've said previously, no one has any more control here than you do, even the people in government. As I've said, death can strike their home just as fast as it can strike yours. They bleed just as you bleed. This is universal. No one is in any more control here than the next. No matter how much you own, no matter what car you drive, where you live, this does not matter. No matter how much power you think you have here. It's an illusion. Because this is a dream world. And again, this dream world is for the human being. But governments have no way of overnight telling the people, so they're slowly doing it, one piece at a time, very, very delicately. And in their mind, they're doing what's best for us. But everything, your brain has two sides, so of course everything has a dual-sided view. There are some people who are thankful for the government enforcing vaccines and shutting us down. And there, of course, is the other path where they will fight till the death. You will not vaccinate me. You are not for me. You are not going to tell me anything. And I've got this all on my own. You know? And both paths are the same, one and the same. Does not matter. But this is why I say, you are inevitable. So for the people who want to fight the government, who think they're going to win the fight of, I will never get vaccinated, back to my point of when I said the government owns you, they own everything you have, I was leading up to a point. If they want to take all that stuff away, if they want to take away your house, your money is insured through who? The government. If they want to shut down your bank cards, meaning that little chip on your card from swiping, so that any place you go and swipe, invalid, 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 If they want to shut down your bank card, take your house, take your guns, take your car, take you, they can do just that. Because since birth, everything you have owned has been signed into and agreed to be theirs. My point is this. This is a battle you will not win. It has been created that way. It has been assigned that way. It's not like this as a coincidence. It's like this for a reason. And it goes back to that soul concept of you are not who you think you are. And so as of now, the government is getting you out of your own way to show you who you truly are. For those who want to resist and fight, let me get you out of your own way to show you who you truly are. And that's what we're leading into, is artificial intelligence. We look for what could be so genius as to create this experience. How did we think of hands to grab things and legs to walk? And then you look at our robotics institutes. They're designing machines with legs to walk. Where did this concept come from? Oh my goodness. They're designing robotics with hands to grab, or not even hands, but something to grab objects. Where did this concept come from? They're designing these robotics with eyes to see. An internal system to take in data, to self-analyze. I wonder where this concept came from. What we're witnessing through AI and artificial intelligence is the creation of ourselves. All the questions we had about ourselves, where we came from, how we began, what started us, are being answered through us in the very moment now. Where are we at? It's being answered for you in the moment. Virtual reality. You can put on a headset and be in a completely different reality. You will see a whole virtual world around you. It's the same thing. It goes back to what I talked about in this video, the third eye. Your brain, your pineal gland, that third eye, is what's allowing all this to happen, this to be seen. So if you want to be technical, the brain or the third eye is your headset to this virtual reality game. And when the brain shuts off, there's no more oxygen to the brain, your headset shuts off. You lose connection to this experience, to the dream. So everything we're creating right now is us in the very moment, is us in the happening. We're answering all our questions about ourselves through the action of ourselves right now in this moment. Before you go to war, you have to know who you are fighting against. That is vital. Rule number 1. Which means before you go out there and riot or do anything that's going to jeopardize your freedom or yourself, you have to know who you are fighting against. What is the purpose? Because I watched the videos of the riots that took place last year and this year, and half the people you can tell on video don't even know why they are there. They don't even know why they are fighting, but they are to join in. And that's my point, is a lot of us just wanted to join in, but when we've burnt every last building in our city, and all that anger is out of your system, you're going to look around at your own community and it's going to hit you that you still have to live here. This is where your kids live. Your kids' supermarkets are now empty. And the very system that you're fighting against can choose whether they want to send food trucks to fill the shelves of those stores you just rioted and looted or not. Do they want to send freight trucks to go fill the shelves and to send these stores freight, since you just looted all of them? Or do they send them or not? But remember, everything you're destroying is your own community. There's a reason Jesus' story is so famous, and it's because he did not fight, even when his life was being jeopardized. We're ready to fight because we think our rights are being jeopardized. But again, we hold dear to us these illusory rights because, again, we hold dear to us this illusory identity. We only know of ourselves through this identity and through their rights that they've given us. But if you know yourself deeper than this illusory identity, you don't need these rights. You can't give them to me, because if you give them to me, you can take them from me. But I have the chance to know myself beyond the illusion of identity, of rights, of everything that can be taken, so that if the time comes where everything is lost, I will be perfectly fine. There will be no panic. There will be no chaos. There will be peace in times of chaos. Peaceful riots do exist, Jessica, but my point with this is all these people that are walking towards these buildings don't know who is even responsible, who the one person is who's responsible for all of this. Because if they did, they'd be looking in a mirror at themselves. They wouldn't be walking toward a building ready to even think that this is the answer to change. It's not. These people walking into riots, whether peaceful or non, don't have a plan for afterwards. And that's what I mean. We can look at history and it's the answers to the test. If you want to know what happens after you overthrow a corrupt government, the answers to the test are all in the files there for you. Time after time after time, a corrupt government falls, a new head begins. You cut off the head to this snake, 10 more grow. You want to cut the head off to these 10, 100 more grow. You are inevitable. And there's one thing that every story is going to feature. Remember this. And that story is going to always feature a good person and a bad person. A good person, a hero, and a villain. So whether it's government, whether it's Bill Gates, whether it's this man, that man, her, him, that guy standing on the corner, there is always going to be the villain in your story. There's always going to be that bad person, the bad villain. Who makes no difference. But it's a matter of turning the story in on itself. Unifying the two hemispheres of the brain into one, good and bad, God and Satan, hero and villain of this story, realizing there is only one here. All belief comes from you. If we don't like what we believe in, seek change. If something doesn't make sense, seek change. That's the beauty of it. Things change when we do. We save ourselves. Our experience changes directly as we do. As do our encounters, as do people. And I can certainly testify to this one. I used to always, in my younger years, be met with hostility and people staring at me dirty and angry. Today, I have no problem with that at all. I get friendly people all day, smiles and happiness, because it is a reflection of your state of being. And for the longest time, I can tell you, I was the victim. I was doing wrong and pleading innocent to the whole world. I was internally knowing I was doing wrong, but pleading to the whole world, I'm not doing anything wrong. This is all against me. This whole experience is against me. I'm trying so hard, and just look, it's just not happening. Eventually, I had to cut my BS out and realize this is me. I'm lying to myself. Am I actually trying so hard, or am I not? And honestly, I was not. It wasn't until I cut my BS out and started actually trying and being consciously aware of myself. That's when change started happening. Jessica, so what's the answer to change given like we've always done? Well, we haven't always done, and that's why there's been so many wars throughout history, and they've been bloody too. You know, beheadings, people's guts taken out, like disgusting wars. So we really haven't succumbed or at least submitted to change in a long time. You know, and rightfully so. I mean, back then they were a little different. They were kind of forcefully, like through killing people, making people submit. So that's a little different. But as of today, I mean, this is the golden age right here. We have nothing but time and opportunity. It is certainly not like before. Yeah, but we've certainly not always, abided by change. I mean, that's what happened with Atlantis. Atlantis wiped itself out. And if you look at the old maps, North America and South America were one land, and this was Atlantis. That's why the Atlantic Ocean is off of North America, on the eastern side of North America, because North and South America were once one land, and it was known as the famous land of Atlantis. And, a lot of people are commonly sold on this idea that Atlantis was inside the Atlantic Ocean, but this is not the case. Atlantis was a civilization just like America is right now. Atlantis had a system just like we do now. They had presidents. They had everything that we do now. It is history happening right before us again. It is the very same thing happening. The problem with Atlantis is they got too greedy, too big, too expectful, too big, and they wiped themselves out. And they wiped themselves out through my belief as through a war with themselves. They got a hold of nuclear weapons, nuclear bombs, and they destroyed their own empire. They destroyed their own empire from the inside out. They didn't need any other civilization to come and start war with them. They exploded from the inside out. And they wiped themselves out so that there was not a trace left behind. However, a few maps have survived, though. And that's where I was saying, if you go back to the 1700 maps, you'll see North America and South America were one land. And it has Atlantis written across the entire thing. Atlantis. Yep, history repeats because we have not faced the change yet. We still fight the change, and this is where it's like we're coming up on that roundabout again, where are we going to wipe ourselves out and implode from the inside out, or are we going to realize that Atlantean loop and break it? Are we going to get further than we did last time?
Just wait. By the end of this year, there's going to be more and more evidence, and I see it. I get a bunch of people tagging me all the time in articles with scientists about, humans aren't what they seem, or the end of the human race coming, and they're like, this is what you talk about, and I get it. I know it's coming. But at the end of this year, just be aware of how many more articles are released about the human race and this experience not being what it is, and that the fact that this universe is not physical. Because essentially the clock is ticking on this human dream. And it was like, basically, we thought we had time before this whole virus, before the entire coronavirus. We were starting to get too comfortable, too spoiled with technology, and we weren't moving. We were sitting still for too long. So we needed something from the universe to shake us into the direction of awakening, truly awakening. I'm not talking about remaining comfortable, because that's what an awakening does. It disturbs your comfort, and it shakes you. And that's what this coronavirus has done. We were sitting back on our hammock with our smartphones, chilling. We were getting too comfortable with technology and all of our advances. And we had the virus outbreak, and now we have the Delta variant, and now we have the mandated vaccines. And it's like, at last we have something. Because just like in Fight Club, he talks about the previous generations had a Great Depression, and they had a World War, and they've had all these events. But then he talks about our generation. Our generation hasn't had anything. He says this is the spiritual battle. All the other previous generations had physical battle, physical war, and, even mental war. But this is our time of mental war and spiritual war. This is our time of spiritual battle. And he's absolutely right, because this is our time. We have never had a huge phenomenon like this, especially one that has lasted this long in this generation. So it's finally our time, and we shouldn't feel victim to this, because history repeats itself. Remember, if you go back in time, this has happened several times before. So it's not like we are the only ones. But things like this happen, I feel, to shake us out of our dream. These things happen to assist us. And at the time, of course, it's disturbing your comfort. So it seems like a horrible thing. It seems terrible. It seems like a nuisance. But everything that is happening, everything that's happening is happening for us, not to us. Everything is happening for us. It's making room for us. Is building space for us to have the capacity to accept that our dream is not what we thought it was, and awaken from this dream, especially from the dream of who we think we are, who we believe we are here. Because that's the hardest part to let go of, is the who you think you are. That is when you experience death. That is when you part ways with that I that you think you are. And naturally so, you will cry. You will mourn the death of yourself. You will mourn the loss of yourself. You will mourn in the acceptance that you aren't who you think you are. And after those tears have gone and you have accepted, you will laugh and smile because, well, you've just experienced death, yet you are still here to speak. And you're that much closer to the eternal flame, to the beloved divine. That's effortless. Effortless. And this constant knowing, which is effortless, requires no effort at all, is what's known as meditation. It is your rightful, true state. Just like breathing in and out, it is a
thoughtless phenomenon. That is what meditation is. If you have to think about meditation, you're doing everything but meditation. If you have to create 15 minutes of space in a certain time of day and put on music and that is not meditation. You can be in meditation throughout your day at any point, at any time, with any person, any place, whether your mouth is speaking or not, whether your eyes are open or closed. That is why Buddha revolutionized meditation, because he brought forth vipassana meditation, and he stated that he never left meditation. He was meditating whether he was in a talk or whether he was in silence, whether he was sitting down or standing up, walking or traveling anywhere he went, he was in meditation. He never left meditation, because meditation was his being, was the awareness. It's who you think you return to outside of meditation. It's that separate consciousness that is ego. It is that consciousness that becomes separate from awareness. Awareness is source, and it's always in you. It's always with you. But we get lost in the consciousness. And that's why we, as the human being, are seeking to understand human consciousness. What is consciousness? Because we have created it. We have created consciousness through the awareness of the beloved, of the divine. Awareness is that primordial being that permeates all things, that is all-pervading throughout everything. That awareness is all people, places, things, events, everything. All things happen through that awareness, through your awareness, through my awareness. That is how we've taken everything in. All recording of through these eyes or through another has been through this awareness. You can say, well, I wasn't there to witness it, because your consciousness as your name and this being was not there to witness it, but you most certainly were, because you are this awareness, and that awareness was and is, always is, forever and now. So there is no time, previous or forward. Everything is this awareness now. Separation is the great illusion. And again, that's what we're leading into. That's what we're moving into with the speeds of internet increasing and the wait times being cut to none. Everything's becoming faster and faster and faster. Because that's what we're leading into. Everything's going to be realized as one person, one place, one being, one self.